Cue music. We're ready to go live. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Blackpower radio show tonight. This is your
Woohoo!
host, Queen Janae Nzinga.
Right
Also the
on.
host of Bossed Up Radio Show. Let me change the background, y'all. But we have an action-packed show for you tonight. We have some very special guests coming on the show tonight. And I'm going to let my sister, Dr. Truth Bay, do her thing. Go ahead and introduce who you got on the show.
My thing. What's up,
Mhm.
Black family? How we doing today? We had an awesome show yesterday. This is yours truly, Minister of Justice, Dr. Truth Bay, policy analyst. And we have one day left, family. Tomorrow is the big day, Election Day. So who will it be? Will it be red? Would it be blue? It doesn't matter to us because they don't have a black agenda on the table. So we're talking about independence. We're talking about Proposition 6. So we're so grateful to have Brother Sam Brown, the author of Prop 6, with us yesterday and the 10P program. And we hope to have him here later on today as well. And he's changing the face of mass incarceration. This is why we have to really support brothers and sisters who are really making a change for us politically. And so I look forward to hearing our great guest that we have today. I see we have a Mr. Bernard Creamer here with us as well. So looking forward to hearing our special guest and what he's doing in the community and changing the face. But again, family, we got 24 hours, 24 hours to let your voice be heard. Even if you want to vote for the couch, make sure that you are registered. Make sure that if you want to write in a candidate, but make sure you are counted for because this governance is what we built, and we have to make sure that we are represented in that way. So it's power to the people all the way. So with that being said, I hand it back to Queen Janae and our national chairman. If he is in the house, we'd love to hear from you, Shaky Mom Akbar.
All right. Thank you so much for that introduction, sister. I want to introduce my guest while we give everybody a chance to come in and get comfortable. We want to thank Busy One Radio for broadcasting live throughout the airwaves and all over Facebook. You can find us on YouTube at Black Business Matters. I'm going to put that in the comments. So if you want to come on and join the conversation or share the live out, I'm putting it right in the comments. It's on Black Business Matters as well as Bossed Up Radio Show and my Facebook page, Janae Earl, JANIEARLE. Okay. So we are going to give y'all just a little bit of moment to gather yourself. Mr. Creamer, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we're going to give you the floor. Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
In a few minutes, we hope so. We want to first give a shout out to Busy One Entertainment, Busy One Radio. You could actually listen live, download the app to stream this live. So, Busy One Radio and Busy One Entertainment. Shout out to Barry and B Love and Major and all our peeps at Busy One Entertainment. Thank you for holding us down right here on Black Power Radio.
All right. Thank you so much for that, sis. So tonight we have an action packed show for you while we wait for our host, guest national chairman to wake up and join us. But
Wake
okay,
up, man.
wake up, national chairman. Okay, so but right now we got Bernard Creamer here. He's an entrepreneur, good brother. I met him at the Nubian Leadership Conference in Washington, D.C. We immediately connected, and I'm going to let him introduce who he is and what he's doing here in the DMV area for our youth and the people. Go ahead, Mr. Creamer. Go ahead and
Well,
introduce yourself
thank you
to
for
the
having me, Bernard Creamer, as it says on the screen. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate the invite. I did
people.
listen to a little bit of the show yesterday, and I definitely enjoyed it. It was a good conversation. Um, I'm not much of an entrepreneur. I'm more of a teacher. I'm still educating these kids in the schools. So that's most of what I do. I do have my side hustle, which is my online store. And as you had mentioned, also I've written a couple of books for the kids. One of the books is regarding hip hop, art impact on the community, more so the machinery behind hip hop and the machinery behind our culture, capitalism, and how these things impact our community and the things that our kids need to know about. I have those conversations with the youth. I think one of you all mentioned too. I might have just read it early, but the use of propaganda to affect the way we think and to affect the way we move. And you all are talking about this election tomorrow. Um, a lot of us have been impacted by propaganda the last few months in terms of decision making and who we're gonna quote unquote choose tomorrow to mislead us. Um, in regard to dealing with the community and the kids, I'm with the Clear the Airways project. Myself and my guy Quabana. We started that in Chicago, and again, we deal with the issue of the music on the radio, uh, media that targets our community, but more importantly, music or media that targets our youth, with the understanding that it's not the youth or the artists necessarily that are making the music, although we have to hold them accountable, but it's the machinery behind these artists, the people that own these artists, and the people that own our culture to begin with, um, that are basically running the show and pretty much have a lot to say in terms of what information and what defines our culture.
That's right. Right on, brother. You just hit the nail on the head. Reaching out to our young babies through music, right? That's the central part of reducing the violence. So we agree with you 1,000%. Can you tell us how you got this start at Clear the Airways? How did this vision first come to you? What influenced you as a child, and where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Chicago, and as a child, just like any of these kids, just like all of us, I wasn't always quote unquote woke or conscious. And so I listened to Mobb Deep, I listened to the NWAs, whatever. I rocked out to it. I enjoyed it. Mobb Deep was my favorite group all the way until I was 30. And they didn't talk about nothing but killing people, gun violence, disrespecting our women. But you get older and you meet the right people. I met a Dr. Lance Williams in Chicago who kind of woke me up. I attended one of his seminars at Northeastern University in Chicago, and he was talking about 50 Cent and Tupac, and his presentation was about symbolism, how everything has symbols, how all of the symbols mean something. Even analyzing the CD covers or the record covers, he was breaking down those symbols, and that just kind of got me started to reading and researching. And then I met a group of guys. It was called Culture Freedom at first. But we met on 39th Street in Chicago, and the initial impetus was basically addressing this music on the radio. And
Shy
so
Town.
me, yeah, yeah. So Chi-Town had the drill music that's still kind of hitting our kids in the head too.
Yes,
But we
sir.
started there, and kind of been going at it for over a decade now. And we're not only we've stood out in front of the sponsors that sponsor these radio stations, McDonald's, the subways. We've gone to New York. My guy Quabbin has gotten resolutions that have been approved in some of the council chambers around Delaware. I want to say there's another state as well, but we also went to Manhattan with Inez Barron and Charles Barron, and we had a resolution introduced there that's sit on the table that deals with this music. We've gone to the FCC. We've appealed to pretty much every single facet, but as stated in my book, I mean the bottom line is profit, and it's also impacting the way our kids think. And so they need this music or our culture to be exactly the way it is, in order to maintain the status quo that they have evolved. Where you see our young men wanting to kill each other, and you see these young ladies in the schools fighting. I think it was a school in PG County out here where 18 girls got suspended in one day for fighting
Mm.
earlier this school year. And so we're starting to see the fights with the young ladies pick up, but that literally coincided with the introduction of the Nicki Minaj's and the Cardi B's, who are talking about what in their music, fighting violence, breaking bottles over each other's heads,
That
and
part.
dealing with each other in terms of You say what?
Yes, that part. I agree with you, 1,000%.
Oh, I'm
Crazy
sorry.
music.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, again, you talk about capitalism, you talk about a situation where the rich have an advantage over the poor. If I was 17 years old, 16 years old, and some white dude came into the hood with a $250,000 in the bag and told me that I want you to get on the radio, you and your boys, and just repeat the stuff that y'all did on YouTube already, talking
Hmm.
about killing, talking about disrespecting women. And here go a bag of money. We'll make you famous. Um, and they're so disposable now because they've whittled hip hop down to where lyricism doesn't even matter anymore. All you have to do is stick to a template, and they have a handful of producers that
Yeah.
they all use, and they pretty much get on there. They pretty much talk about the exact same thing. There's no substance to it. So, uh, whatever hip hop was at the beginning,
Mhm.
it's not the same anymore. It's literally just all propaganda now. It's
Sure
like
ain't.
that now.
It sure ain't. I tell you, my son is 21, but currently they're going through violence and incarceration. So a lot of these things these young people are going through, and I all blame it with this mumble rap and drill music. When I'm asking these young people, who is your favorite artist? And I get, young baby, young thug, thug baby. It's like, what? Little baby, little thug. I was like, Jesus, it's like there's no creativity whatsoever. And I said, this is why I'm so grateful for programs like yours. So we definitely want to know more about how we intend to influence our young people through music and return to the positive. So I also work with the family estate of Marvin Gaye, who actually back in the day, with Motown, they did have powerful music, what's going on, and inner city blues. And this is, I think, today, that's what's missing with our young people is that gap of how the original music started now with this electronic synthesized microwave stuff, how we can get back to that beginning. So tell us exactly your vision and what you like to see currently with your program.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Um, the music, and again, we can't blame the kids because as adults, we allowed it
Right.
to happen. We didn't stand up as soldiers and we didn't tell the schools and demand that our schools maintain the music programs, programs where our kids are introduced to the number one to the music of old, the Marvin Gaye's, but also the instruments. Um, like our kids can't name instruments anymore. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Um,
Like
and
what?
it used to be, but it's not their fault. So they don't really even
Right.
know what real music is. A lot of them, unless
Hmm.
they're in one of these private schools or one of these schools that have funding where they have a band or a music program. But
Hmm.
that's a major part of the issue, and that was on purpose. Just
And
like removing the
yes,
vocational programs out of
sir, you better
removing the
preach it.
vocations out of the schools.
I don't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off,
So,
but you
but
got
we
me
in,
excited.
no, it's okay.
Yes, for us to remove music and band and even things like home economics and trades, just things like that, I
Hmm.
really realized by design, yes, they removed it. Absolutely.
Yes. And so now school is just where our kids are taking standardized tests once every other week. They're taking a different test. This anyway.
Yeah.
Back to what my vision is. For me, it's about education. Um, we definitely have to keep going at these industries, these corporations, keep exposing them. We have to face them. There's many fronts to this war we're involved in, and we got to fight them. We can't just submit to it because it is doing damage in our neighborhoods. But on the other end, I say a three pronged approach. We also have to cultivate, raise up, and encourage those artists that are raising us up, that are inspiring our kids. We have to provide those platforms for them. If we're having music festivals in the community or whatever, where we're basically raising up those artists that are doing the positive music, that would encourage them to do it. But
Yes.
even deeper, I think we need to educate them because our people, and this is not just our kids, but a lot of our people don't want to be involved with anything unless it involves becoming rich,
Hmm.
and we don't understand that dynamic. If you're on a plantation, which we are, we're still heavily enslaved. We're not
Yeah.
free. We don't have our sovereignty. We are not independent, and so living in that dynamic, the richer you are, we don't pay these black entertainers. These Europeans pay them, and so
Hmm.
whoever feeds you owns you, and you do their bidding, and their values become yours, and their interests become yours. And so we get so concerned with buying stuff, consuming, having material goods, all of the stuff that they push to us on TV and in this music, that we lose sight of becoming free. And so the goal is stop being becoming free, and it's gone to I just want to be rich as an
That's right.
individual, not our whole communities being free. And so I think the
Yeah.
major thing is for me, at the beginning of each school, y'all write the word capitalism on the board, and we break down capitalism throughout the year. So by the time my middle schoolers they leave my classrooms, they will thoroughly understand capitalism, which pretty much impacts every aspect of our lives, like
Right
every
on.
single aspect. There isn't a even our relationships now are being governed by
Hmm.
capitalism. FICO's not yeah, FICO scores, credit scores, finances, how much somebody's being paid. We had clowns on these YouTube channels talking about high value men and high value women, which is pretty much all hinged upon what some white man is paying you. That's what our value is now
Oh
determined by what some corporation is paying us. And
Lord, that
so
part.
our
Hmm.
value only raises up when some white man sees value in us enough to pay us a lot of money. And that's
Yes.
ass backwards. And
Hmm.
so we have to educate our kids. I'm not going to say I've given up on our generation, but I'm 54 and watching the way a lot of us are moving, it's scary.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
it's, again, I don't blame our people. I blame the education system. I blame these propaganda apparatuses or whatever. But we got to get these kids. We got to hit these kids in the head. Um,
Hmm.
our kids between the ages of 3 and 5 are capable of learning 5 different languages. If you start teaching them capitalism in middle school, they can learn it. If you start teaching it to them in 4th or 5th grade, they
Right.
will understand it to the extent that by the time they become our age, they're ready to fight against it and they understand the need to fight against it.
Yes, and man, you were just praising. This is music to my ears, literally. So this is why I'm so grateful again for you to be on this broadcast. We really do need to reiterate the language, especially with the music, on how it translates to what we see today. And the 5 elements of hip hop. I want to talk a little bit about that. MCing, DJing, graffiti,
Graffiti,
but the most important element,
breakdancing,
breakdancing, yes, the most
consciousness.
important element is that consciousness, is knowledge, knowledge. So it's
Yep.
certainly something that we need to reiterate. So can you tell us a little bit about how important is knowledge in putting it back into music?
Well, they knew how important it was, which is why they removed it.
Hmm.
uh, Public Enemy was a quadruple platinum group. We were buying their albums wouldn't stay on the shelves. When Public Enemy came out, we were grabbing them. We were buying all of those CDs, all of those tapes, all of those singles.
That's right.
We couldn't wait for the
Hmm.
videos to come out. And as a youth, even though I
That
was
part.
still, for the most part, I was a good student, but I was unconscious.
Yeah, we all
Unconscious as
were.
hell when I was a kid. Yeah, but
Yeah.
those videos and the lyrics to those songs made me want to know who my ancestors were. Made me
Mm,
want to understand a little bit more about the government. Made me want to learn a little bit of Black history. Because I'm like,
yes.
these Black dudes who ain't that much older than me are teaching me about me and the stuff that
Hmm.
I had never heard before. He's talking about Kwame Ture, and he's one of my favorite people he brings up. It's Kwame Ture, and there's somebody else Chuck D had mentioned in the music, but
Herb P.
the
Newton, Malcolm X.
all of them, Malcolm X, all of those guys. He's dropping those names, and so we writing those names down. Like, man, who was this? But come early 1990, like just like that, them people knew that they was waking us up because we reacted the way we were supposed to react to the injustices that were going on in the community. Our kids would tear stuff up. We would tear stuff up when the police did something to us. We tear something up, which
Hmm.
is, you're supposed to get angry. And so now
Yeah.
we at the point in 2024, Chicago, DC, Dallas, St. Louis, Philadelphia, New York, wherever, the police or whoever, well, let's not even say the police. Let's just say one of the kids in our community. There used to be a code back in the day. even within the gangs, if you killed a old person or disrespected, killed a baby or disrespected an elder, you got dealt with. And so fast forward to today, we have been so devalued to the extent that our babies are being shot in the head and there's no uproar in the community. Like I keep
Yes,
hearing
sir.
about these infants that are being shot, babies, 2 years old. Like, how does that
Every
not
day.
impact us in a way where we want to drop everything and just go mad? You know what I mean? Like a baby
Yeah.
being killed.
Right.
And so they're teaching us individualism when we don't even see a community anymore. Well, that's their problem. Um, and it's
Hmm.
just funny. I'm gonna get back to your question too. But one thing it always rises up on my radar. I grew up in Chicago, and so I even went to high school with R. Kelly. And so he was about 2 or 3 years ahead of me. And so
All
that
right.
clown got locked up for peeing on and fornicating with children. And he was
Mm.
notorious for it. And so
Mm.
you still have DJs in Chicago that will play their music, and you said you still have people that will absolve him by basically saying, "Well, we got to learn to separate the music from the man," which is literally the
Right.
core of individualism. Because I always ask them, if it was your son or your daughter or your niece or your nephew, would it be easy for you to play his music? And of
Right.
course they say no. And so I'm like, how come you can't see the other kids yours and they're all ours? You know what I mean?
And I'm and
And
I
so it's
do
a
must
mindset.
say, right, I do must say, after the allegations, even with P. Diddy, I had to revisit the whole music collection, like, and resort to Mozart, since that's the only genre I think that wasn't tainted as much. But definitely you can't say with the behavior. I think the musician is just as important as the music that's being put out. So their behavior behind the scenes is just as important. And a good beat or some dope lyrics. So yeah,
So there's got to be some accountability
yes sir.
among us, and not just with poor people, but with rich people too. Because we quick to
Hmm.
hold poor people accountable, but these wealthy artists, we want to make every excuse to continue to support them. Rich
That's
people
right.
all the way up to the president of the United States, bombing
Hmm.
Africa and all of that nonsense, killing African leaders. But back
Yes
to
sir.
Public Enemy, the industry saw fit to pretty much wipe them out, and as soon as they wiped them out, they gave us NWA.
Hmm.
And no group becomes rich and famous or gets distribution unless white people agree with their messages, because it's white people that are distributing their stuff, that's producing it and
Yeah.
making them famous. If I come out with a CD right now, if I ain't got no distribution, which Kanye found out,
Hmm.
I ain't got nothing out. I'm just selling it out of my trunk.
Yeah.
Um, but they decide who becomes rich and famous. I know a whole bunch of conscious artists that never make it. You know what I mean? They never make it to the levels of a Jay-Z or NWA just because they conscious. Just because they could be
That part.
way colder than Jay-Z, way colder than any of the NWA lyricists, but they never make it. Dope beats and the whole nine, but they never make it just because they're conscious.
All right.
But if you get
And
on there, you're talking all the ignorant nonsense possible. Them white folks are shelling out the dough. Keep dumbing them
whew,
down. Keep dumbing them down. We need more of you. But they made
yes.
that decision. That wasn't our decision. But we one day as kids woke up one day and said, you know what? I don't want no more conscious music. I want the most ignorant music you can target us with. That wasn't our
Yeah.
decision ever.
Hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about, and I don't know if we have any more guests that have some questions coming on next, but we definitely enjoy this conversation, this time with you to spit some knowledge, like real knowledge on the importance of music. One of the things that we also wanted to talk about is working on actually creating studios. I think one of the things that are missing right now is that a lot of our young people who want to create music, because I'm from the West Side. I'm born and raised in California. And so this is the heart of Hollywood. And South LA, a lot of our young people to this day, they actually spend their last dollar for studio time. And so I'm saying, when I look in my neighborhood and I see dispensaries, liquor stores, and churches, but I don't see a state of the art studio, we really teach we don't have the things that are available for them to create their own. What
Mhm.
say ye about that? And then right back to the pastor Mike, back to our Queen General Janae for our other guest on the line.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. Our people, our children are creative geniuses. Like it's innate,
Uh-huh.
it's intrinsic to us. Um, and they have to filter us through their schools to kill that creative genius in us, that imagination, that innovation, all of that stuff. It's in us. We were building civilizations thousands of years before there was a European. They still have not figured out how a pyramid was built. They can't figure out our music patterns, how we move, how we excel in everything that they introduce or put before us. There's anything that they do that they put before us that we don't master and become better at. But every music form that's famous in this country is us. And so just imagine if our kids had the exposure, like you just said, the studios, but also the knowledge and the education to know that music is a weapon. It's either a weapon against us or it's a weapon for us. And the artists in the past, like the Marvin Gayes you just spoke of, the Stevie Wonders, the Earth, Wind, and Fires, they knew the Fela Kuti, one of my favorite artists.
It's
They knew
also
that music is a
Yeah.
medicinal.
weapon. And it's also
It's also,
medicinal, yes.
yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. And so what they've done is pretty much not only have they taken our music and turned it into a weapon, and it's not just the music. They've taken our acting. They've even taken our athletes. You got athletes out here that are afraid to open their mouth and speak for black issues because
Hmm.
they're afraid of losing their football contracts. Just imagine if Kaepernick wasn't the only athlete that stood up, and all the other brothers in the NFL and the NBA stood up at the exact same time. Um, it
When
wouldn't
you
have it
guys
wouldn't
talk
have killed us.
about Kaepernick, there was actually a brother way before Kaepernick that was a black man that spoke up back in the 70s that actually kneeled.
Muhammad Ali, Craig Hodges, Chris Jackson. You had the
Oh,
baseball
brother,
player
I
too.
love you. I love you, Bernard. I love you.
Love you
And
too. But
Yes, sir.
we always don't. We have men among us. You know what I mean. But again, um, right now they have us at the extent where it's money over freedom. That's the ideology now. Individualism, capitalism, money over freedom. Me, me, me,
How much
me,
is the
me.
African soul worth?
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
sir.
That's it. So we got to educate, we got to catch these kids, and we have to instill in them the ideology and basically get them to the point where they become the adults that are fighting this.
Yes, sir. And so you if you're tuning in now, you are listening to Black Power Radio every Sunday and Monday right here on this channel. And we got Black Power Radio show with our hosts, Queen Janae and Zinga. And tonight's guest, amongst others later on, is Bernard Creamer. One of a powerful activists in DC that is changing the minds of our young people through music. So we are so grateful for you to be here today. And shout out to again Busy One Radio, Busy One Entertainment. If you want to listen to this broadcast live, please download the app Busy One Entertainment. You will not regret it, Black family. So,
Thank
Bernard, can you tell us a little bit about how someone can reach you and tell us, for those who are just tuning in for our listening audience, what is your organization and where can they find you?
All right. Well, my name is spelled exactly the same on Facebook. Our organization is Clear the Airwaves Project. Clear the Airwaves Project on Facebook. I think we're on Instagram as well. Uh, the name of the book, which I teach from and I conduct workshops out of, the main book that I use is Who Stole the Soul? The Weaponization of Hip Hop, a Historical and Sociological Perspective. You can get that on Amazon, but preferably on my website, statusno.com. But I'm always open to come talk to a group of kids or adults. I generally don't charge. Well, I haven't started charging yet, but I want to reach our youth. And
Yes,
if I have a
sir.
room full of 10 and I only catch one, that's good enough for me. But we got to talk to these kids.
Yes, sir. And we actually have one of our youth leaders on the line right now. So I'm going to segue. I'm going to introduce our mentor for the state of California, Mr. Ty P. in the his house. Mr. Tyreek, welcome,
hey,
welcome.
Good evening.
hey,
Ooh.
family, it's good being here. Bernard Creamer. It was a pleasure
Yes,
listening
sir.
to you. It's a pleasure listening to you break down, like just the conscious level of the music and why that's so important. And this education, this entertainment over education culture that is promoted is not one of our own. And to hear you passionately dissect that is a blessing, and that's something that I'm actually doing my part to connect with our youth, and really get them engaged with this work as far as how we got here in this condition and the systematic the systematic system that we are fighting under make to change this. Because if you don't know the system that you're in, you're bound to be a victim of it. And that's one of our problems, is
Yes,
that
sir.
they have disconnected the wisdom of the elders, the wisdom of the elders from the youth, because the youth don't feel heard. And when the youth don't feel heard, they don't want to hear what you have to say. But that's one of our biggest issues, because we need the wisdom from those before us. But we also need those before us to allow us to take on aspects of the movement and lead that to new heights. And part of the youth's problem is we take on movements that are not of our own. LGBTQ is not our movement. Palestine is not our movement. All of this is not our movement, but what is our movement is the school to prison pipeline. What is our movement is the economic sabotage that has been raged against us as warfare. What is our movement is this reparations. Those are things that are our movement. And the just the state of where we're at, I look at, maybe you could speak a little bit to this, the CIA's involvement with disrupting the consciousness, infiltrating a lot of the same record labels, as we talked about before, that own the prison system. They invest into the record labels. So there's a lot of sinister things going on behind the scenes, to not allow conscious rappers to get the same platform. One of the sisters had mentioned it, Colin Kaepernick. There's no reason why all of the NFL, NBA players shouldn't rally behind the brothers, and there's no reason as us as an individual should be rallying behind the TV when these networks when these networks go live, right? Because we fund our own demise, we fund our own destruction. And going back to the capitalism element, and I was blessed to learn this as a very young age. I was always very savvy, I was always very business minded. um but when I was in school and I was trying to figure out business and I was selling chips, I actually got suspended for that. So we were never meant to practice capitalism, because we were the capital. And that's the system that we're fighting right now. we
Oh,
we
black
we were
power,
never
brother, black
we
power.
Yeah, thank you, sister. We were never meant to be educated, because they want us to be unresourced, so we could be funneled in the school to prison pipeline. And we were actually outperforming them, being segregated. Integration was never about uh, uh, white people being able to hold hands with black people. And that's why Martin Luther King said, "I led my people into a burning building." It was always about an integrated dollar. And so really educating our children is what the role that I'm taking on, because the school system is not going to do it. I'm actually receiving a lot of pushback from school systems now, but I've always said that the descendants of slave masters have no business interfere no business teaching the descendants of slaves. And so when I look at the state of affairs and I look at where our kids are at, I'm worried too. I'm worried too, but I'm not discouraged, because the consciousness have risen. The consciousness is continuing to rise, and they can't stop the revolution that is boiling up. All they could do is try to delay it.
And that's why he's our
Indeed. And
youth mentor, when I tell you.
Oh, I love it.
and you,
I love it. I am so proud. I am so
Plus,
proud. And I am so proud. You just don't know. I've
which
been around this sun, what December will be 54. I've been around the sun 54 times, right? And I love to hear Brother Bernard Creamer and Brother
Yep.
Tyreek P. And you guys, come on. We have to be out there. We got to walk these streets. You got to have this knowledge. We need to have this newspaper out. They need to know who you are, regardless of anything else, to know that they do have a stand here in the world. Because you got brothers and sisters out here that think that, they don't have anywhere to go, or their entertainment, or whatever they doing, they don't have a voice.
So
You just
got
came
it.
let me
around and said that.
let me just
All
add
right.
upon
Thank
that.
you.
add upon that quickly, briefly. Yeah, again, this entertainment over education culture is not one of our own. This is pushed by the Jews and other people that have stakes in the media. But it goes more sinister. We suffer from brain drain in the Black community. Our smartest and our brightest at a young age are what white America and what this white school system does is insulate them from the realities of the conditions of their people. And it goes back to that individual mindset because they see a prodigy, they see a child's genius, and they understand that if this child's genius is in tune with the current state of affairs of Black America, his revolutionary ability, his intellectual capability will be used to strengthen Black
True
America's
revolution.
best interests. And so we have to take that Black child and we have to put him in a private school. We have to take that Black child and we have to
Well,
give him
we
a
have to have
European
our own institutions
a European education because it's not
and
just about the
European
education, it's the indoctrination of the
indoctrination.
child. Therefore, that our black, our smartest and our brightest and our genius are now working on systems that just keep this oppression going under the guise of doing exactly what they're told. Doing exactly what you're told as a Black man is the worst thing that you could do. And
That's
that's what I'm
right.
trying to tell. That's
Exactly.
what I'm
That's
trying
right.
to educate
Right.
children. Like this system, that doing exactly what you're told is going to be the reason why you get destroyed in a world that was never meant for you to be successful.
Woo,
And so
hold that mic.
that's
Hold
Well,
on
yeah,
now.
hold that
Hold that
yeah.
mic.
mic.
So
Hold
Because
that mic. Let's get
I'm
our
there was
guest,
a lot
Brother
of
Bernard,
stuff.
to answer.
Because a
Yes.
lot of
I want to touch on some of the things that he just said. Appreciate that, brother. Accuracy all day.
Yes, sir.
Um, can y'all hear me right now?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Hello?
Loud and
Yes,
Okay,
we
just
can hear
making
you.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually jotted down a few things as you were speaking because you were touching on some very important points.
Without a doubt.
The last one you touched, yeah, the last one you touched on was they give us what they consider education, and unfortunately,
They're programming you outside of yourself.
a whole bunch of our misleaders jump right on it as soon as they give it to them because there's money in the game. This STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math. We've been mastered that. We've been capable of mastering that, but they do it in a sense where we go through these STEM programs. We go work for Google or we go work for the Department of Defense and go kill people, go design bombs, and you know what I mean? Build weapons for the militarized police. That's one thing you touched on. STEM. And STEM is a good thing when it's taught in the right context with the humanities and our history. And so they won't be happy to go to Google and go build technology to spy on us, to spy on our communities.
that's
You
right.
touched on the nature of revolution. Revolution is inevitable. Um, if you read history, every time you have the conditions that we're dealing with the poor, the marginalized, the disenfranchised, are beginning to wake up and understand the nature of their existence, inevitably they rise up. And so this country spends zillions of dollars in propaganda, with the music, with television, with the movies, to make sure, like you already spoke to, that we are dumbed down and we don't understand the nature of our existence. But eventually, the information is out there. They can't hold us down forever. And so this country is literally panicking right now because the empire is crumbling piece by piece. It's going to implode on itself. You touched on that, the history, the revolution. You touched on the nature of teaching. And these basketball players not stepping up. You talked about being an educator in these schools and the need for us to evolve our own educational institutions. That's very important. But again, you got teachers out here that are more concerned with their paychecks than the type of education that they're getting paid to impart to these children, which is not an education at all. And so
Right.
you talked about teachers that are being fired. I've lost at least 4 jobs as an educator. Like this is the first time in 25 years. My first job as an educator I had for 10 years. I moved to DC. I had that job for 3 years from 2008 to 2011. But from 2011 to 2020, every job I had in education was for 1 year because I had been radicalized by then. And you're not going to put me in front of no kids and just be spitting curriculum and all this nonsense.
All right.
I'm going to get in trouble, and I'm going to get in trouble on purpose.
That part.
As an assistant principal, as a teacher, you're not bringing no ROTC or no recruiters into my classroom to talk to my kids. And as the recruiter's knocking on the door, as soon as he walks off, I'm gonna tell them the nature of the ROTC, the recruiters, these army bases all over the world, the lies the recruiters tell you. And so I'm gonna unwind and I'm gonna pretty much tear down your story before you can even get to them.
And and and
The last thing, because I
that's
don't want to.
good. That I was
Now I
gonna
was gonna
say,
say the
and that
last thing I was gonna say.
good.
Let me say real quick. I don't want to hog the mic. I'm a Pan Africanist to the core. And it's Kwame Ture that taught me that. It's Malcolm X that taught me that. It's James Baldwin that taught me that. It's
That's right.
of course Nkrumah that taught me that. It's Thomas Sankara that taught me that. It's Fidel Castro, Che Guevara. I am a Pan Africanist to the heart. And so they taught me as my elders who were deceased and they were murdered because they were a threat, that we have to have solidarity with all oppressed people around the world.
Yes,
And so
sir.
while the Palestinian thing might not be our fight per se, we hold solidarity with them
Mhm.
because they're dealing with the
So,
same institutions and the same oppression that we
so
are, the
so
exact
my
same machinations.
so
Tell me
my
about that.
big issue is all of these other groups of people using the black face or the association with the black struggle, but they don't show up when it's time to get work. You see all these
What
people doing during George Floyd, they think posting Black Lives Matter on Instagram or Blackout Tuesday is making a difference, while we got a school to prison pipeline and the wealth gap continues to increase, but they try to paint this pretty white lily picture that things have actually changed when it didn't. That's my issue. Everybody
No, I
wants
ain't
to
dealing with them.
associate everybody wants to associate with the black struggle, but no one wants to be black and do the work. That's the problem. So we
But the
got this false.
Palestinians did do the work, though. They did the work back in the day with us. We've always had solidarity with them. I'm talking about for decades. And so what was going on with us here in the states, they were standing in solidarity with us in Palestine, and that's always been a situation like that's in history. Fidel Castro, Ernest Che Guevara, they fought for us, and they fought for us even to this day, holding our sister Sada Shakur down. So we can't insulate ourselves. Now I do get you in terms of these liberals that jump on our bandwagon and try to draw in our energy to basically go to their causes. Yeah, we definitely have to stand against that liberalism, because it's the liberalism that's killing us. But in terms of these movements around the world, these movements are decades old. And you can literally look that up, what the Palestinians stood for us holding up
The
Black Panther.
I
The
was
Black Panther party is all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I I was gonna say the fact that you did not go along to get along is the type of black man they don't want in our schools. They don't want a black man that's gonna stand for principle. And I've had it. What they'll do is they'll put a black face in a high place to rubber stamp white supremacy to make to uphold the illusion that white supremacy is not in the classroom or operating in that school. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I'm dealing. That's what I'm dealing with a lot of these people in BSUs. As you have people that look like us but that are not for us, that are actively trying to sabotage my advocacy from getting in front of the students to educate them. And I play the game the way it needs to be played to get in front of the students. But it's the
Yes, sir.
it's the white supremacy system that doesn't want you in there. And then it goes back to this: as an athlete, as a white society, it's so crazy to me, right? We pay these athletes hundreds of millions of dollars to distract and uphold this illusion that somehow a black child could follow in their footsteps and make that same type of money when less than 1% actually get to that level. And then at the same time, we got black geniuses that get no funding, that don't get
That's
scholarships, that
right.
don't get the same attention, right? And especially even more dangerous when they're conscious. And then the sad part about it is, okay, if you the athlete, I don't got a problem with that. Play your role. Use the money that you do make to fund the revolution. But the fact that your wealth comes with conditions, like a LeBron James, like
Then
how
it's not
the
wealth.
it's that if your wealth comes with conditions, you're not a free man. And that's
That's right.
They're not free.
all of these people, their wealth comes with conditions, so they're not really free. And that is why when push comes to shove, they either are silent or they side with the enemy. Period.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Put a
Well,
pause in
what
there. We
That's
do got some
right.
spirits
That's
that
right,
came in.
brother. That's
For those who are
right.
just tuning in,
Right.
you're listening to
Uh-uh.
Black Power Radio,
That's
and
right.
we want to acknowledge some of our new spirits that came in. We do have our national chairman, Sheikh Imam Akbar, that came in the room, our brother Raheem Shabazz, New World Warrior, amongst others, to chime in. And we have our special guest, Bernard Freemer from Clear the Airwaves Project,
Thank
dropping
you.
some
Well, all
knowledge
right.
on what we need to do back
Well,
to
y'all
bring
sound
back
so
our youth
strong
through
out there
music.
tonight.
I'm
Yes.
just so happy to see everyone in good chair and a great exchange going on here at Black Power Radio. We represent 20 years of radio. Again, we have the most informative radio talk show on any network, anywhere on any of Facebook with no looks, and you got Instagram with no ham, and Twitter, glitter, LinkedIn, linked out. Without a doubt, you're on the most informative radio talk show on the internet or anywhere in the metaverse or universe, AI, TI, IT, whichever way you flip it, you're live on Black Power Radio, and we're thankful that you decided to come here. You could have gone to the Tiger Woods tournament tonight over in Augusta, Georgia, and I think you could have even gotten a green jacket tonight, but you decided to come to Black Power Radio. We could have went on over to the what is it, Serena and Venus Williams tournament over at the Arthur Ashe Studios and tennis courts out in Richmond, Virginia. You could have went there tonight, but you decided to come to Black Power Radio, and we're so damn glad that you did. And if anyone missed the soccer mom practice, you can still make it tonight. You got a few minutes left. And again, you came here to Black Power Radio, and all of you, each and every one of you, could have gone to the nephew's bar mitzvah tonight, but you came here live on Black Power Radio, and I know damn well you're glad that you did. Gonna rock it and keep it hot, keep it moving. Shaky Ma'am Akbar, one of the co-hosts tonight, just working with the network of Black people going to some call it New York, but New York City and Harlem. We're gonna be at the Buy Black, and this is the way: Buy Black Friday, Buy Black, and what is it called? Boycott your billions, grab your millions, and hold them for a buy for Black people on Black Friday with the Jedi May in the spirit of the Honorable Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. And we're going to give you live more information on that tonight. But that's the month of November. We want everyone to chime in and help us to write a 10-point platform of economics for Black people for a buy in the favor of we the people. Let us stop being the stimulus package for uh, Best Buy,
Genocide.
Genocide, Best Buy, Staples, what is it, Starbucks, McDoubles, some call it McDonald's, the McBurger,
Right,
what do you
right.
call it? Murder
Macbeth.
King, Murder King. So let's stay out of there. This whole month of November, get the money for we the people and keep it strong, keep it Black, but by all means, please keep it revolutionary.
All
Assalamu
right,
alaikum
Black
and Black
Power,
Power.
Black Power.
Black
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 Power,
Power.
Power.
Black
I'm just
Power.
gonna read
Okay,
a
so we're
quote.
gonna
Genocide
Strong
government.
Black
segment.
military. We
Black
get Black
Power.
to call today. Black
All
I'm
Power.
gonna
right,
read
we
a
have
quote
another
from
special guest
Brother
online
Busy.
before anybody starts speaking. He's on a limited time. I want
All
to
right,
introduce
it's
Brother
only gonna
Jay
be two
Fuller.
sentences. I just want to reiterate what everybody was saying.
Hello, I'm speaking. We want to introduce our special guest, Jay Moolah. This brother is, I've worked with him for the past 6 months. He's on the inside. He's going to give us an inside look to what it's like in Alabama state prison system. Okay.
All
I've
right.
been working with him for some years now, and I want y'all to respect him. Please mute your mic. Let this brother in. He's on a limited time channel. Okay. Go ahead, brother Jay, and introduce yourself, please, sir.
Welcome.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody?
Black
Um,
Power, brother.
Black
Black
power,
Power,
power to the
welcome.
people.
Welcome to Black Power Radio.
Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all got some good, strong points there, man. I like hearing black minds come together with intelligent conversations. You know, some boy they say they think that we just intellectual people, but when you actually come together to form a solution to a problem, you kind of intelligent. So I like to hear intelligent conversations. But yeah, like my sister was saying, I'm from the inside point of view. You know, like brother was just saying about the revolution. You know, I feel like the revolution gonna start from the inside. And I say that because, you know, a lot of people on the outside, they feel like that people on the inside are here for a reason. But when you talk about black economics and capitalism and all that, I heard one brother, I think it was Brother Bernard. He was speaking about the hip hop industry and you know the music and you know how it has an influence and you know it all of these things play back to what you take in consciously. So from my point of view, I set out to be different because I realized that my people had been enslaved by a lot of different things in the community. So JUC became one of my primary focal points. I am the founding father of JUC. JUC is a social justice, human rights advocate agency. It's in Alabama. It's out of Ohio. We have a branch in Mississippi and also in Florida. We teamed up with both sides of the wall, and we do the Breaking Every Chain rallies in Alabama. I was looking forward to relaying the message to my people about going international. Because I realized that, the problem with the Black community is not just in America, it's everywhere. So now you got to see that now it's a problem. So it's not just America, it's not just Alabama once you go look at our problem as Black people. I heard the brother say about the Black Panthers also being worldwide. And, again, like with our people, that's on the lower level of these playing fields who don't know about you know what it really like to be Black, because again we spoke about hip hop culture. There's hip hop culture. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, all of these other people, you know what I'm saying? Huey Newton, that's culture. Fred Hampton, that's culture. Um, Hip hop is not culture, and I feel like that's the biggest brainwashing that our people have because they identify that as culture. And then now what you have is a system of capitalism. Because now what's gonna happen is now we're gonna kill each other. Not only are we gonna kill each other, but we also gonna fill the prison systems up. So it's capitalism. So somebody had to be different. So when I finally got here, because the old folks always say you're gonna end up dead in jail. There was a there was a curse that was put on a lot of the Black kids. And then, I used that also as tackling fuel to go back again to relate a message to my people. Stop telling your kids they bad and tell your kids they can be something or show them they can be something. Give them a extra boost in life instead of saying they're bad. So JUC, Jovan's Unified Community. That's my that's what I focal point in on both sides of the wall. We bring in the communities, the Black communities all around, and we started from the inside. And I feel like that's where the revolution is going to start at. Because again, we have too many people that we look on the outside, they're comfortable, and that's when you're easily to be bought, and that's what's going on with a lot of our people. They don't even think about prisoners when they think about slavery. They think about getting reparation. They think about other stuff. They don't think about damn, it's still going on. Or like I got a brother that his name is Demetrius Fraser. He's from Michigan. He was sent down from Michigan to be executed. Now Michigan is a state that does not have the death penalty. So they don't supposed to send their inmates or what so quote unquote their citizens to a death penalty state. That's against the human trafficking.
Who's aware enough to stop them?
Huh?
The problem is that our people are not aware enough to stop them. They do these things because, as I said, bullies don't stop, they must be stopped. That's why Trump is so mad, because the system, global white supremacy, was set up for that damn fool to be able to do damn foolish things he does. And he's mad because it ain't working like it used to work.
And that
Go
is
ahead.
that part. Because it was two governors that came together to do this. And so now my next thing is to point out to the people. Now who is to stop them? So John B. Knox, he was the he wrote the Constitution in Alabama. He was the chairman, the president of the Constitution in Alabama. So John B. Knox, he got there and made his famous speech about how he was going to enslave the Negroes. And it was done through law. And that was his speech. He said, we're going to manage the Negroes, and we're not going to do it by force or fraud. We're going to do it through law. Now, when you go trace the history of John B. Knox and where John B. Knox got this from, he got this from Willie Lynch. Now, a lot of folks like to say, "Oh, these people they are made up, whatever, they whatever, whatever." Even if that is true, they have court records and documents of these sayings that is utilized in a system. So now, once you have this system that is purposely to enslave a particular people, now you look at it today. I heard a brother talking about the elections. What about the elections? Because once you go look at the elections, now what they're more focused on is getting the immigrant vote. They're saying we want
Hmm,
the Hispanic vote.
that
They
part.
ain't said nothing about black people. We want the
And,
Hispanic vote. So now, once you realize that you're getting ready to be moved out, you have a society of people who don't see what's going on, but then you have the people on the inside. Because see, now what done happened is prison is a 16 to $24 billion industry a year. That's what they make a year. You have communities out there, black communities, that ain't even $250,000. They just ran down poor. So now where do you think the child gonna go? Either dead or fill up these industries. Now we gotta look at what's happening. They moving us out. They moving us out. See, the real war is that when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden went down there to Haiti and got all them folks down there from Haiti and brought them up this way. So now Trump got mad about that. He started talking about immigrants. So who did Trump really want to kill? Let's talk about it. Black people. But then you
everybody wants to
have
kill black people, and they're
exactly
doing it and getting away with it.
yes.
And
Because,
the problem is that we're complicit because we keep spending money. Like right now, this time of year, I call it super sucker season because we keep financing our own genocide. How do you get niggas to stop playing all these games with these holidays? Because it ain't got nothing to do with us. Nothing. Stop spending money on your own damn genocide. You can't expect me to respect you if you don't respect your damn self. So keep going, brother. I apologize.
oh, you good, brother? I love hearing you speak. I think you one of my Muslim brothers, so I love hearing the wisdom also. That's where I learned the most from by listening. Um, but yes, most definitely. And that's all it is. It's just one big genocide. Like this time of the year, spending for what? So now it goes back to the brother said the school to prison pipeline.
Hmm.
So now once you start looking at school, and I say again, and that's why I say allow Akbar in this situation because of the fact of that I was actually allowed to be able to walk through all of this and still stand strong today to be able to give the message to the people of how it really happened. To be able to say, yeah, I went through kindergarten and I stood in line to go to the child hall. And yes, I was put in a corner for time out called solitary confinement. Yes, I was all of these things. Okay. Then I moved up a little bit. Oh, then it got bigger to a bigger dorm. Okay, we're gonna call this junior high. So now once you realize now what was my kid being taught? Genocide. Christopher Columbus came to America and did what? Oh, he found free land, but then okay, we missed the part of he slaughtered.
He
He
being taught how
slaughtered.
to be a better slave.
He slaughtered. Exactly. And so now we missed the point also that even if this was a true story, so this is what's being taught in school. So now our kids are being taught that you're not worth nothing. So don't forget the point of if this was a true story when he came, what did
That's
they
right.
come in? They came and sharecroppers. So therefore
It
that
was
means
never
someone
a true
already
story.
populated the land.
It was never a true story. How does one steal a continent fair and square? Don't we know
Exactly.
the difference between a discovery and an invasion?
Exactly.
This ain't
And,
deep.
that-
Keep going.
and
They
that's
didn't
why
even
I say
talk about the first
if
black
it was true.
presidents. They didn't even
So
talk about the first black presidents in school. There was 5 black presidents before George Wood Teeth Washington and Thomas Slave Jefferson. You know what I'm saying? So history has been robbed from us because
right.
history is our history. Like truthfully, like we designed this whole globe. We've been
That's
in
Yeah,
right.
Antarctica to
Everything.
Washington
Truth has never
D.C.
been told because the liars are telling it.
Facts.
This is why we must
We
set
have
our own standard. This is like Amistad. And if you don't take over the damn ship, I guarantee you, you ain't gonna like your next destination.
right.
Okay,
facts.
one mic, y'all. One mic. One mic.
And that's what they doing though. And that's why I want to get to my people to understand, that right now they're moving us out. They're getting us out the way. Think about it in our neighborhoods right now. We don't have clinics in our neighborhood. They sent COVID-19 over here. Guess what? We had to go back to get the cure from. Back to them. I didn't take the shot. I'm just being honest. I don't want it. But just think
Hell to
about
the
it.
no, no, no.
We don't even have clinics in our neighborhood. So now these neighborhoods, they just like buckets with pour some water, another water leak out of it. So then when it comes down to where we can't cure ourselves, or what about feed ourselves? Who growing their own food? Who growing enough food to feed our people? So now that when they see that, okay, well now they not even playing the game no more. At first they was plowing the land, they was doing all this stuff. They not even playing the game no more. Now they doing what we designed them to do, kill each other, and they taking the poison willingly now. So now they're not even playing the game no more. So now again with this election, we have to prepare what's to come after this, whether whoever become the president, because they're moving us out. They moving us out. And it's bad, but we got to do something, and we got to do it fast because
We
again,
better do something right, not just something. Your old folks said, if nowhere is your destination, any road will get you there. We have the longest relationship on the planet with the Creator. Why the hell is it that we the only damn people on the planet who don't have a damn plan? And a
because
righteous one, by the way, because we can't out low down, low down. Never attempt to deal with the devil on the devil's level. Try using your own damn plan, and I guarantee you the Creator and the ancestor will assist you every step of the damn way. Bet
I
money.
think I
Right,
think
Bobby?
the first plan of action for us as a people, it should be this: number one, we should identify that we don't need a president, we don't need a leader. What we need to do first and foremost is all of us need to get together and huddle up, and everybody need to hug each other. We don't have no trust for each other. Instead of us coming together and working together, we'd rather compete against each other. Oh, my car looks better than yours. My house bigger than yours. I bet I can get this before you. I bet I can do this better than you. We so busy competing with each other. My girl look better than your girl. Or my dude, or whatever, whatever. And then we so busy competing by the time we realize we wore out from competing with each
We've
other
been
that
fro-
well, we ain't even came together to even look at what really just happened. The
we've
Mexicans
been
come
pro-
over here and work together. The other Hispanics they come over here, they work together. Everybody come work together. The Arabs they came over here and they work together. Everybody work together but us. And so now when you have again with this election, what are they really doing? What's really going on behind this election? They moving us out.
we've been pre-programmed to hate greater than we love.
All right,
Yes.
so we have to move to our next section. If you're not speaking, we're gonna ask you to drop down out of the studio, join us on YouTube. We got Brother Sam Brown, and somebody else is trying to get in, but I can't get but 10 people on
I'm
the
a
stage.
I'm a volunteer to drop Black Power. I love you, family. Thank you for having me.
No, we need you. Don't go nowhere,
Oh,
Tariq.
okay,
Hold
okay,
tight, P. You, the
I
voice
got,
of the youth.
I
okay.
gotta,
Yeah. Well,
I
I
gotta,
do.
I,
I do.
this,
I
I gotta
just
drop
want to
off.
say. I do
Okay,
just
Brother
want to
Kramer.
say.
Thank
Uh-huh.
Uh,
you all for having me, and I appreciate this conversation immensely.
at six.
I
Yes.
appreciate y'all. I'm
At
looking
at
forward to being
Yeah,
on
man, I'm
again
gonna drop
sometime.
mine too, y'all. Black Power, man. To the people, I'm gonna go ahead and drop up out of here. Y'all make sure y'all check out JUC, Joe Muns Unified Community on the Facebook channels, the TikToks, and all of that good stuff. So, I mean, I'm gonna drop out too, man. Power to the people.
Black
All
power,
Black
stay
right.
Power to
Power.
the
strong.
people.
Black Power.
I
To the
All
people.
right. And
Thank
don't
you,
forget
Joe
to check
Vaughn, for
out.
your time tonight. Come
Yes.
joining in. This
I
brother has a powerful story. He took his time out and risking his freedom to come on here. So please respect the mic, y'all. Respect one mic.
Oh, know that you all can go into YouTube. There's another way to look at. I think just Sister Janae will give it to you offline, and if you can swip out, you can still hear the program on YouTube. Okay, Black Power.
Black power. Power to the people.
Black Power. So we want to welcome our show. Go ahead, Sister Queen Bay. Your guest is in the building.
Yes, it's and a powerful one at that. We thank you so much for joining us. Yesterday, we started out with the history of Proposition 6. Just a kind of reminder of what Prop 6 is. It is on the ballot tomorrow. It is to remove the word slavery off of mass incarceration. But yet, we still have some issues with traction on this. So, this is why, family, tomorrow, election day. hmm, What are we going to vote? If you are in the state of California, you need to listen to this. So we thank you first and foremost for joining us on Black Power Radio. And we first want to give a shout out again to Busy One Entertainment, Busy One Radio for broadcasting this live. Please download the app. So let's remind us of yesterday's a show where we had Proposition 6 on the table, and Brother Sam Brown is in the house. Let's welcome him to the show. Brother Sam Brown, thank you for coming on Black Power Radio Part 2. And hopefully, we'll be listening to some of the members from the 10P program as well. Miss Tasha Davers, Olympic gold medalist. We kind of missed her yesterday, but we are grateful to have you here on this show. So, Brother Sam,
Peace, Sister Critical Truth, babe. Thank you for having me again. Thank you, Black Power Radio, for all of us, for the space. And yeah, Tasha was definitely available yesterday, but the conversation got so good and heated and just lasted so long she couldn't get a word in edgewise. But
oh,
tonight I'm gonna make sure I shut up so y'all can hear from her wisdom as well.
yes,
Yes,
absolutely. So let's remind some of our listening audience of Proposition 6. So we're going to share the screen for yesterday's CNN advertisement. Hold on one second. Here we go. Present. Sorry, family. Just a little delay. All right, here we go.
no worries.
Okay, here we go.
For a crime, much like the Constitution's 13th Amendment. But Proposition 6 would close that loophole in California and stop prisons from forcing inmates to work. Yet the latest statewide poll shows likely voters are more likely to say they would vote against the measure than for it, 56-41. The proposition has lost ground in the last month. My next guest helped draft that proposal. Sam Brown began writing it while he was an inmate being forced to show up for shifts in hospital facilities early in the COVID-19 pandemic. Sam, thank you for being with me. I want to talk about your experience in just a moment. But first, there are no opponents to this on the ballot, no argument against it, no organized opposition. So why is it failing in the polls?
Peace, Victor. Thank you for having me. I would say it's because a lot of grassroots organizations have pulled together to raise awareness around this, but it's challenging. It costs a lot of money to get a bill before the public and raise awareness. And quite frankly, we haven't had the money that's required to really put it out there on a large scale. So I think awareness is the issue. I mean, I would love for us to have the Kim Kardashians, the Kendrick Lamars, the J. Coles, everyone that's made, a stand against mass incarceration to really come out and throw their support behind this bill, because that would help us a great deal.
Tell me about your experience. As I mentioned, during the early days of COVID, while you were incarcerated, you were being forced to sanitize hospitals. Tell me about it.
So right before I do that, I just want to make it clear that I didn't get here on my own, Victor. And I would like to take a moment to say thank you to all of the organizations and the people that have took a stand to fight against slavery, specifically the 10P program, the Love We Don't See, Ronnie's House, all my Yes on 6 ambassadors, Max Parthas, and my Mass and Liberation family. Right. So with that said, I was incarcerated. I did 24 years. I served, 24 years off a life sentence. And I was the first person in the state of California that had to disinfect with somebody in a carceral setting, that had to disinfect with somebody tested positive for COVID-19 because a staff member brought it in, and then they passed it to the prison population. Despite the fact that I had taken thousands of hours of self-help programming, earned 3 college degrees, graduated from Cal State LA magna cum laude, had I missed one day of work fighting against COVID-19, they would have given me a 115. And the 115 would have had me go into the board of parole hearings and be considered a risk to society. It would have resulted in like a 15-year denial. And at that time, I seen my neighbor die from COVID. The guy above me died from COVID. Someone else died from COVID. And I was terrified for my life. And I expressed that to my supervisors that, hey, I'm scared to come in here because we don't understand what's going on right now. Droves of people are dying around the world. And they told me I had to come to work. And if I didn't come, then they would write that 115. And when I went to the Board of Parole hearings, that would have resulted in a 15-year denial. And it would have negated all of my rehabilitative accomplishments, all of the hard work that I've done, and the person that I've become today. And that's really what involuntary servitude and slavery looks like.
Yeah. I mean, it when it's on the ballot, and we've seen it in other states, voters overwhelmingly say, yeah, we don't want to do that. We're not going to force the incarcerated to work. Other states, they have Oregon, they've gotten it off their constitution as well. There is also in California, Proposition 36 on the ballot this cycle, increases penalties for repeated offenders of some theft and drug crimes. Is there some blur between, the tough on crime supporters of 36 and the effect on Proposition 6 ending this involuntary servitude?
That's a great question. And 100% there is. You have the tough on crime legislation is oftentimes historically supported by large organizations and corporations that benefit from prison labor. So behind Prop 36, you have Home Depot, Walmart, Target, In-N-Out Burger, these large corporations that we patronize every day. And they're supporting this tough on crime legislation, but it really decimates communities of color to get people in prison to have a cheap labor force, because all of them use prison labor. And so what Prop 6 does, Prop 6 undermines that and takes away the benefit and incentives for them to invest in tough on crime legislation that destroys communities of color. And so many people are being, fooled to think that they're focused on public safety, that they want to say yes on 36, not realizing that it's really harmful and it rolls back all of the reform efforts that we've accomplished in California for the last 10 years. And so though no one has come out flat out said we oppose ending slavery, there has been like a blurred line, like you said, a correlation between people wanting to support 36 and not really understanding the importance of saying yes on Prop 6 and no on 36.
Sam Brown, I thank you for sharing this. I actually have to give credit to my senior producer, Hein DeFreitas, who brought this to my attention. And I'm glad that you have this moment to share this with everybody across the country. Proposition 6 in California to end the slavery loophole in the state. Again, let's take a look at the California Constitution, where it says slavery is prohibited and voluntary servitude is prohibited except to punish crime. Sam Brown, thanks so much.
You on mute, Sister Truth, babe. You on mute.
I got so excited, brother. I just mute myself. I'm so sorry. So, Sam Brown, we got 24 hours until the big kicker. So tell me, how are you feeling? What are the thoughts going through your mind for the journey that you took for this bill from inception to what should be on the ballot as a yes passing tomorrow, November 5th?
Right on. Thank you for that incredible introduction. I'm feeling a number of things, Queen True Bay. I'm feeling excitement. I'm feeling humbled. I'm feeling humbled to be in this position and have this opportunity to be a part of this movement. I'm feeling honored by the people that lift me up, because it seemed like I was just moving along, doing what I was, supposed to do in that moment. I was capable of speaking up. I've studied a lot of California Code of Regulations, a lot of United States appellate law, civil law, criminal law, while I was incarcerated. And so as a result of me reading the books that I read, having to file the various appeals that I filed, the same skill sets was required to write, an amendment to the Constitution. So it's like I was in the right position, right place, right time, when I just moved in purpose. And I thank God for the people that honor me for doing that. But it just seemed like I was doing what the Spirit told me to do. So I'm happy to be here.
Yes. And we are so grateful again to have such a historic moment transpire. So we're going to keep this ballot in this proposition in prayers. And those who have not voted yet, which I actually vote live, I usually film my voting process every 4 years. So
Okay.
you will definitely see me voting yes tomorrow, November 5th, in my local jurisdiction. So we're going to go into the very important program that you have developed, the 10P program.org. Can you tell us a little bit about what 10P is and how did you start this nonprofit?
100%. So 10P is a tool. It's a life-saving tool. 10P is a community. It's a body of people who believe in the work that we're doing. 10P is a program. It's a curriculum. 10P is alive. 10P is a space where people have an opportunity to discuss things that they may consider heavy or things that they consider lighthearted, but a space where they can do that without any judgment. 10P was something that I created while I was incarcerated as well. In the year 2014, I found myself on a maximum security 180 level 4 yard, New Folsom to be exact. And there was a lot of it was miserable. There were a lot of good people who made a lot of terrible decisions. So they were on the prison yard. But I see that they needed something to live for. And I remember telling my supervisor at the time, I say all of these homicides and suicides and drug overdoses and riots are happening so frequently because the men in here don't have anything to live for. And at least that's how they feel. And she told me, she said, well, do something about it. And I accepted that challenge, because when I was living a negative lifestyle, I accepted negative challenges. So here I was confronted with an opportunity to do something positive, and I was willing to accept that as well, because that's the real me, right? And having done so, I had a book that I was working on at the time entitled How I Overcame Antisocial Personality Disorder Through Emotional Literacy, a Self-Study. Once I accepted that stoking to do something about it, I took my book and I turned it into a curriculum. And then along with the curriculum, I wrote a proposal and submitted the proposal to the warden, the chief warden, chief deputy warden, the principals of the school system in the prison, and it was approved unanimously. Once it was approved, I then had to go around the yard and locate individuals who would participate in these groups. And I had to go, find some of the toughest of the toughest, people who were respected on the yard, people that other people looked up to. So once they decided they wanted to participate in this program, they could see somebody that they already respected doing this program. That's just how it works. So I had to go to the the leaders, the shot callers, the people who were respected, and convince them to come in this program or send somebody that they care about inside this program. And in doing so, I got my first group of 25, and then it went from like 25 to 50, 50 to 200, 200 to 400, then 2,000, and then a 10-year waiting list in other prisons. And it was all based on just taking the emotional literacy skills that I realized that I required in myself and putting them in a digestible format that everybody around me could understand. And it made it such an impact that the 10P program has shaped what rehabilitation looks like now in the state of California. So that's a little bit about it. And the 10Ps, as I stated last night, they stand for a powerful person's portfolio as positive programming and prior preparation that provides for phenomenal possibilities.
Child, say that 3 times if you can.
Oh my goodness. Good luck with that.
Right, man. So I'm looking at these 4 phases of self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management as well. So we're going to go a little bit into that, but we want to hear from your better half, Miss Tasha Danvers,
Yes.
who is Olympic bronze medalist from England. And so we want to say, first and foremost, sister, we had no idea that you were on the sideline yesterday because we wanted to hear from you, sister. We were grateful for you to be here with us. Can you tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself and your involvement in the 10P program?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and it was a pleasure to be on the show yesterday, listening in. I think the way that it panned out is exactly perfect for the moment.
Yes, ma'am.
God does what he does, and it was important that Sam and everyone who spoke yesterday got the opportunity to hear from him and in depth, because we don't have much time to
That's
to
right.
get people to really understand what's going on, and who better to explain it than the person that wrote the bill, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, ma'am.
so I'm happy to stand down and be an observer in that circumstance. So thank you again for having us both here. As far as myself, I'm a two-time Olympian and Olympic bronze medalist. I was born and raised in London, England, to Jamaican parents. So that's where some of my speed and
Irene,
personality. Yeah.
Mama Clyde, but
So
that's a whole different subject.
don't say that in front of my mother. Nah, she
Yes,
says that
mom.
herself. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I grew up there. I was recruited to run track for the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, and I've pretty much been here ever since. I did go back home for a few years to compete at the to prepare for competing at the London Olympics, but that didn't pan out. So I ended up coming back here, which was always my plan anyway. I have a
Awesome.
degree in music,
Woo
and I
woo.
also have a degree in metaphysical science. I'm working on a doctorate at a very, very slow pace.
Mm,
And I have a son who's coming up to be 20 next month, and he's also at university for track and field. So I've done a lot of things
awesome.
in my life, coaching. I've went with a group to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and there were 17 of us in our group. I was the first one to reach the top,
God
not because
damn.
of my not because of my
Woo!
athletic prowess, because I'm good at listening to instruction.
Oh Lord. No, I trust me, it has a lot to do with your athletic prowess, because half of us wouldn't even make it up there, girl. Yo, praise God on
Well,
that
only
one.
5 of us made it to the top, and I tell you what,
Mm,
I had retired from athletics by that time, and you know, there's a lot to be said for really paying attention to people who have done it before you, and just like our elders in our spirituality, and paying attention to our history and
mhm.
what was done before to be successful. Being on that mountain in Tanzania, Africa, the second highest mountain in the world, really showed me. It was like everything that I had learned, that had taken me 20 years to learn in track and field, I learned on that mountain that day. It was phenomenal, but it was just there were so many lessons. Keep going, don't give up,
Right.
don't try and reinvent the wheel, all those sorts of things. So I've had a very colorful life, and I'm happy to say that I have everything that I've experienced has landed me here in this space with one of the most wonderful men in the world. I feel like, well, not one of, for me, he's the most wonderful man. Sorry, Dad. Right.
Right, right, right.
But I, of course, anyone would say I'm biased, but you don't have to spend much time around Sam Brown to realize the magnitude of his excellence, right? And
Yes, ma'am.
when I say excellence, I don't mean perfection, right?
Mhm.
Where nobody's perfect, but this is a man who works incredibly hard and has put in so much work to get to where he's been to. So for me, being a part of the 10P program is an absolute honor.
Yes.
I feel like God just said, all right, girl, keep doing that crazy stuff with them frogs. I got your prince coming up, and he's gonna have everything you need.
Right on, right on. That's how we
Right?
do it. Wait, yes.
Yeah. So for me, the 10P program, it's the 10P program is about emotional literacy, and emotional literacy is about understanding, recognizing your own emotions, and then also being able to recognize and understand the emotions of others. But the piece that is so important is the ability to know what to do with those emotions once you get them, right? So it's all good and
Mhm.
well for me to recognize that I'm angry, but if I learn in my home that when you're angry, you punch someone out, when I go to school and my teacher gets on my nerves, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to punch her out because I don't have any other
Right,
tools. So this is why
right.
it's so important, because it's like a GPS system. It's like, you go through the hills and the valleys of, sadness valley, you go to the happiness mountain, you're at the top, and you have the ability to navigate these different terrains. Now, if I don't have the right tools and the right training to navigate those terrains, I'm going to bury a kayak to climb a mountain. That's that's not
Right.
the thing that I need.
What?
you know I need a boat when I'm on the water, not when I'm traveling the mountain, right?
You
Right.
can do it,
Right.
but it ain't wise.
Exactly. I think I heard Chris Rock in a comedy say one day, he said, "You can drive a car with your feet, but that don't mean it's a good idea." You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
go go Flintstones.
exactly. And he meant your foot on the steering wheel, right? So without
Right.
the training of what to do with the emotions you have, you are driving a car using your feet to turn the steering wheel, and inevitably you will crash.
Yeah.
So this is why emotional literacy is important for anyone, because you know and I see this in my experience with Sam, is how when they meet him, if they don't know he's been incarcerated, it's like, oh, wonderful Sam. And the minute they hear that he's been incarcerated, it's like a whole different,
It's like a
things can,
bias.
yeah, things can often
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
reality is, we all know, I don't care who you are, my belief is that there is a circumstance and a situation in your life that could push you to the spaces that people who are incarcerated are pushed to, that land them there, right? Everyone probably has that thing. I know it wouldn't take much for something to happen to my son for me to feel like I wanted to go down that road. So this is why emotional literacy is so critical. I'm supporting Sam in terms of the athletic part of it, because I had my
Hmm.
own mental health crisis. I tried to commit suicide in 2011. Had I had
Mm.
emotional literacy training, as opposed to say sports psychology and growth mindset and positive mindset, right, which also
Hmm.
has its own issues, because you can have toxic positivity. If I'd had
Yeah.
emotional literacy to undercarry all of those things, I would not have found myself in that circumstance. So that's important. Sam is now building out a women's circle. We're building out a youth empowerment program, because as long as someone has a heartbeat,
Mm.
there's nowhere you can say that this isn't something that can positively affect you. So whether it's in your career, whether it's in your relationships, we're always working on emotional literacy in our relationships. And we
Right.
found that as much work as we can do on our own, there's certain things that you never get to
Mm.
practice until you got someone you really love all in your face.
There
Right?
you go. And that's where the real tests begin, right?
Exactly. So yeah, that's
Yes.
kind of me in a long-winded nutshell.
No, no, not at all. We love you so very much. You don't understand. You guys are like the William and what is it? Who is he married to? Kate and William of the hour royalty. Because when I tell you, the first time I heard when Chris Lotcher was saying, "Oh, we got a surprise for you," I'm thinking, we got some pizza or we got some organic food or something. I don't know. Then he says we have the author of Proposition 6. When I said to myself, wait a minute, the author, this is the first time I'm hearing, because I'm in policy and legislation. It was so important for me to see us perfect or work in that field, but to see live and direct a brother who was facing life that actually beat the odds and decided to write legislation. I said, no, this is a godsend. And then when I met you as well, Miss Tasha, didn't even know you were Olympic medalist. I said, no, this is too much. I said, somebody better pinch me. I said, now we definitely are so grateful for you to have you here on not only on Black Power Radio, but we need you to come back. We do have next
Absolutely.
week, November 10th, we do have a highlight on influential women in 2025 to watch. And we definitely would like to have you back to speak on life, to speak life to our young women, to our young girls, especially because, even though we're all going through the same thing with mental health and our Black youth, there's a certain dynamic when it comes to mentoring, coaching Black men, young Black men, and coaching our Black women. And between the both of you, you guys, yeah, definitely have what it takes to make that happen. So we definitely would love to have you back on that. So can you tell us a little bit about the journey that it took to really be part of 10P program. Like, what is the vision? And if anybody wants to reach you, how can they reach you if they're having sort of like an emotional crisis?
Thank you very much. So the vision is to expand emotional literacy in all walks of life. And as you heard Tasha speaking a moment ago, she touched on the fact that basically the same principles that enable people that do have life sentences, 3 life sentences, life without the possibility of parole, people who are considered civically dead, you know what I'm saying? And think that they don't have any other shots at society. If it enables them to start seeing themselves and then themselves in relation to the world in an improved fashion that improves the quality of their life, then it's also something that's applicable to people who are not currently in the same situation, but emotionally similarly situated. You know, so our motto is there are more people in prison than there are incarcerated. I'll say it again. There are more people in prison
Yes.
than there are incarcerated. And so that means that there are more people in social economic prisons, you know, mental prisons, emotional prisons, all manner, physical prisons with their health, and don't necessarily know the way out. And I found emotional literacy to be a key to many of those prisons. And so because I realized the effectiveness of it inside the carceral system, I also consider our society, like I said to you the other day, to be prisons themselves. You know, almost everybody I know went to prison because they were trying to escape the prison that they was in and didn't realize they was in the prison that they was trying to escape from. So our
Yes.
communities are San Quentin. You know, our communities are Centinela, Calipatria. And realizing this, we decided to repackage the 10P program, teach the same emotional literacy, but now make it available to folks in all walks of life. Because like Tasha said, anybody with a heartbeat needs emotional literacy. It's a no-brainer. And so my
That's right.
vision is to expand it, like to get the 10P program is doing as many workshops, contracting with as many people from all walks of life, providing workshops for individuals in the community at no cost, all of the above, just getting it out there and sewing up this spot as a strong advocate for emotional literacy and how important it is. And so as of right now, we developed 10P emotional literacy for the corporate space, meaning if there's an office space where the employees need to learn how to work together, learn conflict resolution, situational development skills right there on the spot that require strong emotional literacy that increase the organization's bottom line, we'll do that. So we do it for corporate, we do it for nonprofits as well. We recently had a successful workshop that was, you know, we received a lot of good feedback in conjunction with Ronnie's house, where it was a lot of brothers who were formerly incarcerated and sisters formerly incarcerated. And they all walked into the workshop, you know, it was virtual, but not knowing what to expect. And it was so good to give them an introduction to the 10P brand of emotional literacy and how we teach it on all walks and receive that positive feedback and know that everybody left with something that they can apply to their life. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to circle back around as well to your question, Queen.
Yes,
When
ma'am.
it comes to someone having a mental health crisis, obviously we want them to check in with a professional. But as far as the 10P space is concerned, we have weekly meetings. The website, you can contact us. You can reach out through the website. We're on Instagram at 10P10P for Paul program. And so if you just reach out to us, we also have a 10P Connect community where people come in. So if you just want to reach out to see what support you might be able to get, that is a way that you can contact us at 10P.
Awesome. So that's 10pprogram.org. And we actually put the link in the chat. So please log on, check it out. Primarily for focusing on, because again, it's less than 24 hours till the election day. So Proposition 6, which is a huge part of emotional literacy, Please support it. If you have not voted yet, vote yes. This is the most historic, probably the most important proposition that pertains to us as persons of African descent. And so we're going to have you guys follow up with us next week concerning not only the outcome of Proposition 6, but we also would like to connect with our youth and our women that are going through it and find out more how we can work together and promote emotional literacy. So, in a nutshell, when somebody says and thinks about emotional literacy, I understand what emotional means and I understand what literacy means. But when they hear this concept together, for those who may not know, what would you say to them in a nutshell what it really means to have emotional literacy um, resources?
That's a great question. Thank you for that, Sister True Bay. So emotional literacy as a system, how the 10P program teaches it, encompasses both emotional literacy and emotional intelligence. And oftentimes you'll find people comparing the two to one another. The way we present it, emotional intelligence, emotional literacy is the ability to read oneself or read the situation. Emotional intelligence is the ability to choose the correct tool once the situation or yourself has been read. And so
Mhm.
emotional literacy would be recognizing that, right now, this person is not receiving anything that I'm saying to them. My words are
Mhm.
not getting through. They're just getting angry and angrier. And emotional intelligence would be selecting the right tool, which may be either I'm just going to listen or I'm going to remove myself from the situation, or maybe I need to try hearing differently. That would be the difference. So that's a part of what's different about the emotional literacy system that we teach. And that's what emotional literacy represents, the ability to identify what's taking place emotionally, and then also the ability to grab the right tool when needed.
Yes, sir. And I want to put a pin in that because we do have our youth mentor, Ty P, that actually has to go soon. And I wanted him to give a closing statement on Black Power Radio before he has to go. Brother Ty,
I,
do you want to share anything with us before you go?
uh, absolutely. Um, control. We us as a people, we gotta have discipline, and we cannot let our emotions get the best of us because that's the trap in the system. They want us to be emotional and not logical and not methodical, right?
Yes.
And that it's important with the controlled exercises that you are doing to give people outlets. But my closing statement is going to go like this: education without application is useless. We are the solution. This is the revolution. Black power. Love you guys. I gotta go.
All right. Black
Please,
Power,
Black
short
Power.
but
Black
sweet.
power.
And nonetheless, he actually has a CJEC meeting. So we all know
Yes, I do.
about Coalition for
Yes.
Right on.
Just and Equitable California. So shout out to Chris Lodgson, in which we had him on Black Power Radio almost years ago. And so we're going to have him back on the show coming up to give us a blueprint in January. And for those who may not know, CJEC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, is a group that focuses on reparations. And so, as a policy analyst, I always want to stress the importance of what reparations really mean. What is it as being a debt owed to us, not something that we're begging? And reparations in this bill, such as Proposition 6, to remove the word slavery off of the Constitution. That is a perfect example of what part of reparations or restitution to make us whole is. And we want to constantly stress that. So, with that being said, I wanted to know if there's any words to the wise, because we did want to save you and some good comments for next week's show, November 10th, to join us on Black Power Radio. Again, the influential women of 2025 to watch, in which we'll have Miss Tasha Danvers with us back again. Right here at this circle. Queen Janae, do you have anything you want to chime in? Or do we have any spirits that may have any questions for our guests today, Sam Brown and Miss Tasha Danvers?
I would just like to thank them for their time today coming on Black Power Radio. And
Let's not all
just
break the stage now, folks. Come on now.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Can hear you, Jeanette.
Okay. All right. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your advocacy.
Yes, ma'am. We
And
may
thank
have
you
some
for
technical
sharing with us on
difficulties on
Black
that
Power
end.
Radio.
So, Janae?
Um, yeah. Can you hear? She
I
can't hear me for some reason.
yeah, I think Queen Critical, I think you're delayed because we can hear her
Mm,
just fine.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the problem. It's me.
It's
Okay.
you. That's okay. So Brother Sam is back with us.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying the conversation. So thank you so much, guys. This is a lot of work behind the scenes. So
Absolutely.
thank you
Sure is.
Thank
very
you so
much.
much for that
And we
comment.
look forward to speaking with you. And I believe we're going to have a guest from your country, native country, come on, or a representative for our Queen sister, Sasha Johnson,
Wow.
from London. She's also
All
part of
right.
the Black Panther Party, and she's
Awesome.
in recovery as well.
Oxford.
So, yeah,
Hmm.
she's from
Right.
Oxford. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll have an update on her sometime this week to make sure we can get someone to represent for her and come on.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much for those kind words. I'm sure Samson has the same sentiment. So thank
Mhm.
you. Appreciate that. I wanted to just quickly circle back around to something Ty said,
Sure.
about it's important for us to not be emotional. I want to, and Sam can let us know if he agrees with this, but I think it's important to be careful about saying that we should not be emotional, right?
Mm.
Because it starts to get us into places that we have been before as Black people, where we always have to be the tough one, strong Black woman. I mean, how many times have we heard this image that we have to be strong?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
what often happens is that it doesn't allow us to experience an array of emotions that we are entitled to experience, and so we start to become inhuman, right, almost robotic, or and then all of a sudden every time you see a Black woman, it's the angry Black woman, right? There's no other
Hmm.
side because she has to be in a certain you know range of emotion, or it can only be this or it can only be that. And you know I just want us to be mindful about saying that we can't be emotional. We can be emotional. It's just that when we are emotional, we have to understand what it is we're experiencing and know how to navigate those emotions and how to use them in our situation. So I can be angry. Like I
Hmm.
ran in the Olympic Games trials for my country, and I had trained for 8 years and I did not win. And the chances that I was going to get selected were almost zero to none, right? There
Wow.
were to the point where when they announced that they had actually selected me, my head coach got 42 texts asking why I was on the team. That's how poor my performance was that year.
Oh
I'm
dear.
entitled to be angry about that. I'm
Hmm.
entitled
Hmm.
to be disappointed. I'm entitled to cry. I'm entitled to throw my bag down on the floor if I want to, as long as I'm not hurting anyone. But my point is, we are allowed to be emotional, but we must know with those emotions what is the array of coping strategies that we should implement in order to make sure that we don't do damage to ourselves or others. That's where it starts to get into a different realm, when we are starting to be harmful or self-sabotaging ourselves or others. I If anyone would have asked me with my ignorance about emotional literacy, I would have said, well, obviously someone like myself was far more emotionally literate than someone who's been incarcerated, right, Sam?
Right. Right.
Right. And then, in our engagement with each other, I'm realizing, hold on a minute, this guy is way more emotionally literate than me. And we were discussing it, and it's like his life depended on it. Right. If I get upset, there's no chance it's very unlikely I'm going to get stabbed, or something's going to
Hmm.
happen to me. In that kind
Hmm.
of environment, his life depended on him being emotionally literate. He
Hmm.
recognized, and he'll tell you about the study that he did. He asked every single person he came across in the carceral setting, if you had emotional literacy, do you think you would have been here? Every single person said, if I'd had it, I wouldn't be here. So this just
Right.
shows how important it is. So it's not about the feelings or not being emotional, in my opinion. It's about what do you do to ensure that you don't damage yourself or others with the emotions that you have. I don't know, Sam, if you wanted to uh, say no or yes to what I said there.
Oh
We're
no,
No,
agreeing
no.
with each other.
you
I
did hit
totally agree with everything you said.
before you continue, Sam. I did appreciate so much that comment you made, Tasha, because even in the male perspective, where they say you got to man up, or having that label of saying, yeah, a strong black woman, or we don't feel any pain, and that's why we don't have to have the same medical care as other nationalities. I mean, man, those are the things. Honestly, those stigmatizations are so harmful to our community. So I'm so grateful that you pointed that out. Yes, Mr. Sam, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I totally agree. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, especially other men, um, "Oh, he's in his feelings,"
Mm-hmm.
you know. And as soon as a man hears that, and typically even women that I know, when they hear that, they feel like they have to automatically toughen up or deny that they feel anything. I'm not in my feelings, you know what I'm saying, and argue a point instead of being accountable for what they're feeling, why they're feeling, how they're feeling, and what is bringing up for them. And so it's the same rules apply on both sides. And that's why our motto is there are more people in prison than there are incarcerated, because these teachings are just applicable.
That's right.
Like Tasha said, I didn't learn them by picking up an academic book and reading them. They were developed through
Mm-hmm.
cultivating my lifestyle, being on those yards where anything could is so volatile. And not just with other incarcerated people, but also with staff members who may have come to work having a bad day. And you have to be able to read that, because all it takes is for them to target you, give you a 115, and now your whole life trajectory then change for like the next 20 years.
Right.
And
You know,
this stems from being children of the Most High, having to live in the devil's playhouse and trying to live or run your life by their playbook. This is why we have to back up and set our own standard, because they're never going to do what's right, and we're under some serious crisis dealing with these people. Go ahead.
Right.
it's definitely serious crisis. It's code red. You know,
That
we
part.
Tasha and I were just in the school. We go and mentor inside the schools with the National Cares Movement. Shout out to them. And
Right on.
and we were at a school in Compton, and they gave us all of the young males, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And it was so interesting to see. First of all, they said that this school has the lowest grades, test grades, and then of all the testers, the black males have the lowest scores. Right.
Hmm.
So this is what we have.
Coincidence? I think not.
Not.
I think not. You know. And when we go in there to talk to them, like on their tablets is drill music, is rap music that
There you
they're
go.
looking at in class. Is don't know how to really be quiet, just talking and talking and talking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, the respect level, it seemed like they understood what respect was, but maintaining it consistently was challenging,
Yes.
but for themselves and for others. And I recall just Tasha and I looking at each other like, man, and I told the young man, I said, y'all the future leaders.
Yeah.
Y'all the future leaders. You know what I'm saying? I said, y'all in here talking. When I seen the little girls able to be quiet and listen, they were the young ladies, they were able to be quiet and listen. And here you dudes can't even do what they were doing. And one day, them young ladies gonna look to y'all for leadership.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna look up to you as a protector and as a provider. And
That's
right
We
right.
won't
now,
be there.
yeah, right, exactly. Right now, you're not exhibiting those qualities, you know.
Right.
And so it was very interesting just seeing how important emotional literacy is needed from the top to the bottom, because it changes paradigms. It does, and not enable us to be the spook that sat behind the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or at least in the yard up on the hill.
Come on, exactly. You know, it enables us to do those things in a fashion that's conducive to us also strategizing long term for ways to improve the quality of our communities and our community members' lives. You know,
Yes, sir.
This
And
is
that's
all the
music
more
tears.
this is all the more reason why we need to back up and leave them alone because we don't have 400 years of blood money. We don't have uh, unearned privilege. We don't have generational wealth, but we do have the greatest history, heritage, and culture on the planet if we would tap into it. In the words of James Brown, use what you got to get and do what you need. Go ahead.
And we got
Yeah.
and we got plenty generational trauma too. We don't
Oh,
have the
yes,
generational
more than
wealth, but
enough.
we certainly got the generational trauma. And that informs the decisions and the behaviors of many of our people. And that's something that they don't like to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about the 10P program is also predicated upon the theory of emotional illiteracy based criminality. And I
Yes.
shared this with you the other day, but we're going to go a little bit more into depth with it. The theory of emotional illiteracy based criminality posits that no one amongst us is born bad or evil. People
Mm.
adopt criminality as a coping mechanism for unprocessed traumas. So
Hmm.
just like people adopt alcoholism, hypersexuality, retail therapy, gambling, smoking, drinking, all of those are coping mechanisms for traumas that haven't been processed properly. No one is born a blood or a crip or a gangster disciple, vice lord, people, folks, stars, zillas. No one is born any of these things. They might be born in these environments. They might be
Right.
born around it, but they're not born that thing.
That's right.
And they adopt these lifestyles as ways to cope with what they're presented externally and how it impacts them internally.
Yes, sir.
So, so
I
that's
But
what the
this is
agree.
theory. I'm
but this
sorry, go
is
ahead.
because we won't address these problems in the community before they start. Like people that ask me, well, why don't you set up a prison program? I said, no, set up a program to help the children before they go to prison because they've destroyed the black family. COINTELPRO did an excellent job at well, they lied to the community and said they want to give it to black troublemakers. What they actually succeeded at doing was destroying the black family with our complicits. Stop dealing with white people because they lie. Don't get mad when you find out foxes eat chickens. That's what God put them here to do. Your responsibility is to clean. I'm serious. Your responsibility is to make sure your family is not destroyed, your wife and your children and your community are protected. We don't do that anymore. Now we
Yeah, but that's a
outright quote white
caveat.
folks.
There's a caveat to that. I do want to address that, New World Warrior, because although we can't blame the opposition for their planning of our destruction, they cannot destroy if we don't allow them to. So we got to take partial responsibility on how we treat
Take
each
total
other, how
responsibility.
we interact with each other, how we're listening,
Exactly.
how we are exporting or executing plans of action that maybe certain people in our community are trying to do. Our people
Hmm.
ostracize our own people too. So this is why I
Yes,
want
we
to
do.
really be real on why a lot of things don't transpire for us. We can't keep blaming the opposition 99% of the time when we are the
They
ones
don't
who hold the
care.
power. That's why Sam, that's why Tasha and many other youth leaders we had earlier, Mr. Brendan Creamer,
Hmm.
he was the program, I believe, what was it called, Sister Janae? Air I'm sorry, just clear the airways, clear the
Mm,
airways project. So if you listen back to the show, he was talking about how music influence a
Hmm.
lot of the behaviors as you see that you have mentioned as well. So if
And that's
we
deliberate.
are not actively building these studios that we're saying everybody needs to be part of building these studios, not leaving it to this group of people while we sit there and give words of wisdom, but we have to be active in getting the property, getting grant writers, getting the funding, fundraising as a unit, so that way we all succeed. And I think that's what's missing, and that's what we're getting little by little, is that we all have to put a part to do something different to achieve the goal, And so I get off my
Absolutely.
soapbox, but that's what I wanted to say. Sorry, and I'm sticking
I
to it.
I want to
Sister
back
Jeanette,
you up on
Yes.
that
So
because I
any
think
yes.
there's been there's so many areas that we have to tackle, but I think a lot of our community are not proactive enough, and we're not getting a hold of the reins. We have things like our children have cell phones and things that they're on all day,
Hmm.
and it's hard as a parent, as a teacher, to
pocket
compete.
distractors.
Exactly 24 hours a day. Like I just, Sam said, we looked at each other, and I said, Sam, this is our future generation, and they are allowed to have tablets while they are in class and a mentoring
Yeah.
program that give them full access to the internet. They
That
don't,
part.
no one is checking. When Sam confiscated one of the tablets because one of the students was completely distracted by it nonstop. When we look at it, he's playing trap music and whatever else, and shaking butts and all this kind of stuff. Like, how is this possible, right? How is
Mhm,
it
mhm.
possible that we are allowing this? Like, there's no system set up to make sure that these children do not have access to this while they're in an educational setting,
Right.
right? And so we are not, it's like we've become so comfortable. It's like when the enemy sort of just creeps in, they present
Mm-hmm.
this thing to you. It's so wonderful. Look at this wonderful phone. It can calculate for you, keep you in touch with your friends. Like, it's to the point where back in the day, if someone
Guarantee
could
you a
reach
spot in
you,
a jail cell.
right, if someone could not reach you back in the day, oh well, they would wait till you got home and you just
There
get
you
back
go.
to them when you could. Now people are freaking out if you don't respond to their text message immediately. Like, oh my God, and we've become too accessible. We've had access to way too much stuff, and it's frightening. And we need to do something, because we don't have the elders that we used to have, that used to protect us from
Mhm.
this type of thing, right? We used to
That's what
have
I'm
the
saying.
solid level of elders that you don't want to go see Papa Joe, you don't want Papa to talk
Big
about it,
Big Mama
there's
down
no
the street.
fear. Yeah, these
We're
kids don't care anymore.
21st century cyber slaves.
Exactly. And if we're going to be able to compete against technology that has snatched the minds and souls of our children, we have to
Mm-hmm.
move much faster and with much more intensity.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And that's where it leads back to building these state of the art studios. We got to have them. There's so much empty property sitting in our areas as we speak. You have an empty warehouse, you got thousands of acres of land. So, this is where we got to start identifying property, start putting all the gadgets in there, have them open 24 hours, 7 days a week by creating jobs. What young person would not want to work at a studio after hours? Making above minimum wage, right? So these are the things that right now, these are simple things, but they're not simple if we don't execute them, right? So that's why I'm so
What we
grateful
need, we
again to
must
have you on
create.
board. That's right. That's right. And so I wanted you to get some closing comments. We do have some other spirits. Our brother Azrael LeBeau has been with us for a while. He's one of our generals down in where are you now? Georgia? Where you at, brother? Holla at your people. Power to the people, sir. You are on mute. We can't have you quiet, General. Open that mic. We again welcome and thank you, Busy One Entertainment, for holding us down on Blackpower Radio. We did have our guests, Sam Brown and Tasha Devers from 10P program. Tomorrow we are looking at Proposition 6. While we're waiting for General Azriel LeBeau to adjust his mic, I'm just shooting time. We still can't hear you, brother. I don't know. I guess it's not meant to be. We're going to try one more time. But Miss Tasha and Sam, can you give us our last closing comments for our listening audience? And again, how can they reach you?
Yes, we can. Thank you once again to Black Power Radio Chairman and you too, Queen Sister Truth Bay, for giving us this opportunity to share space with you all and just have these discussions about real things. And we need everybody to get out and vote yes on Prop 6. If you have not already voted, we need you to encourage your people to vote. If you're not in California and you got people outside, I mean, people in California, reach out to your people in California and tell them to vote. This is something historical. This is generational legislation that's going to impact the entire system and take slavery out the core of our penal system. So, yes on Prop 6. Stop placing forced labor over rehabilitation. Regarding emotional literacy, I just want to say that, again, if you have a heartbeat, you need emotional literacy. You can find us at 10pprogram.org. You can reach me at Sam Brown at 10P Program. I'm sure Tasha will let you know where you can reach her. You can reach her, Tasha D, 10pprogram.org. We're on IG at 10P Program. Sam Dot Nathaniel Brown, Tasha the Olympian. And so do not hesitate. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're here for it. Like Tasha said, we run weekly circles, and it's an honor and a pleasure. Peace and blessings.
Right on, right on. And can we do virtual programs? Like, what is the format on how we can implement emotional literacy courses?
We have it in a variety of formats. We have virtual workshops. We have one-on-one coaching. We have written curriculums, correspondence, and in-person workshops.
Okay. Thank you so much. And of course, this will not be your last time. This is your new home. Home of the Black Power. Emotional literacy is in the his house. Again, family, vote yes. Vote yes on Prop 6. And we are so eternally grateful, family, to have you on board. So without a few minutes left on the show, we're going to turn it right back to our Queen, General Janae Nzinga, and our national chairman. Close it out.
All right. We want to thank you all for joining us for this action-packed show. This is probably one of the most important shows that we have ever hosted. And we want to thank you, Mr. Brown, and Miss Davers. We can't wait to have more shows like this, more action-packed information, more. This is the most informative radio show broadcasting TV and radio news on the Black Power radio and TV news broadcasting. Thank you, Busy One. Thank you, New World Warrior. Thank you, Sam Brown. Thank you, General Azrael. We gotta get your sound together, but we thank you for joining us. Okay, so we're working on a lot of important cases. This is not just a one-time show. You're welcome anytime on Sunday and Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Black Power Radio Show. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Let's
Power to the
go.
people.
All power to the people.
Black Power. Is there any other kind?
No.